Hello dear friends, and this is a very revealing summary of Cobra's latest updated report on the 2012 portal. It has a lot of information, but some things are difficult to decipher and understand. I also omit some details that are too crude for obvious reasons. This is the end of a universal cycle. Game over. Opinion piece. Disclosure. Cosmic inversion. We are digested by the matrix. Completion of the galactic pulse. We are at the tipping point. This is the end of a universal cycle. The feminine pole is being empowered. Shifting on the Earth's crust. The Galactic Codex is the law of the land. A small part of the event has begun. Not much visible results so far. The planet with the most evil beings is the Earth. The next solar magnetic reversal is expected in 2025. Doomsday may start a little earlier than planned. Solar flash likely to occur in the next 2 years. Cosmic, galactic and solar cycles converge at the portal in 2025. Starseeds are the ground control of the forces of light. Spaceships of advanced beings disguise themselves as aircraft or helicopters. Soft disclosure is occurring, with interesting photos from Mars. Let's start. We are at the turning point of several cosmic cycles according to Cobra. First, there is the completion of the greatest cosmic cycle that lasted over 13 billion years. This universe is right now at the inflection point from expansion to contraction. This is a unique moment when the source or the absolute can directly intervene in creation and dissolve the primal anomaly, and all related evil, and this is the very reason why all darkness will soon disappear. That moment of direct divine intervention is called the apocalypse or revelation, and is described quite accurately in a famous vision of nearly 2000 years ago. In quotes, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more evil. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." The judgment related to the end of the cycle could also start a little earlier than planned for Earth, as Earth was found to be the planet with the most evil inhabitants in the galaxy, and therefore in the worst shape in the final assessment of the cycle of the entire Milky Way galaxy. Latest news. Situation update. The Chimera and the primary anomaly are continuously being cleansed from the entire Earth and the entire solar system, part by part. Currently, it is still mainly the non-physical realms such as the astral, etheric and more. There are not many visible results so far. However, what can be experienced is that the attacks are getting stronger and stronger, as they want to keep the same pressure on the key people, so they need to go to a higher intensity. A small part of the event has already begun, which is a close communication between various starseeds, other key beings, and the Codex, including various outer species involved in the release. So there is much progress, but it is quite preparatory and not yet open to the masses. A few 100,000 very high souls were sent to assist in the universe, who then incarnated as humankind. It could be said that the best gods and goddesses were sent to finally end this madness, as indicated in the Bible by the 144,000 chosen ones, often mentioned as a symbolic number of the coming of those people who will liberate the earth. The Starseeds are the earthly control of the forces of light, and many of them are fighting on the front lines. While the forces of light wished for a smooth transition, there are also many beings in the spiritual community who want a quicker retaliation. It seems that both ways will be fulfilled, as the world will remain stable for the people of the light, for those humankind who overcome, while at the same time the dark side will receive a harsher judgment than initially planned and expected. Cosmic inversion. This moment can also be called the cosmic inversion, and scientists are beginning to understand that it will not happen billions of years from now, but much sooner. After nearly 13.8 billion years of uninterrupted expansion, the universe may soon come to a halt and then begin to slowly contract, suggests new research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Second, there is the completion of the galactic magnetic pulse cycle, which lasts between 12 and 13,000 years. Every 12,000 years or so, the galactic central sun reverses its magnetic polarity back to the original one. The Earth's axis is aligned with the reverses of the galactic magnetic field, and this is the true origin of the 25,772-year cycle of precession of the equinoxes, and the 12,000-year cycle of Heinrich events. A Heinrich event is a natural phenomenon in which large groups of icebergs break off from glaciers and cross the North Atlantic. A recent scientific piece shows that galactic magnetic field reversals are sudden events that only take a few years. By July 2018, the X-ray kernel emission had completely disappeared, only to reappear a few months later. The ultraviolet light curve follows a less steep slope compared to the predicted one. The possible cause of this enigmatic event is conjectured to be a magnetic flux reversal. The reversal of the galactic magnetic field triggers a solar mini-nova event, which in turn triggers the reversal of the Earth's magnetic field. Earth's magnetic field is already decreasing rapidly in preparation for the reversal. When it falls below a certain threshold, it abruptly changes the strength of the Earth's magnetic field, the elasticity and viscosity of the Earth's mantle, to allow crustal shifts and a physical polar shift. Solar cycle. Third, there is the end of the solar magnetic cycle that lasts about 11 years. The next solar magnetic reversal is expected around 2025. The Sun is activating much faster than expected, and the number of sunspots now already exceeds the prediction for the peak of the cycle in 2025. Leading scientists will begin to realize in a few months that something unusual is happening with their current solar cycle, and some of them will be able to connect the dots, causing panic in some circles. A Carrington-type solar event is likely in the next 2 years, which would be the famous solar flash. The three cycles, cosmic, galactic and solar, converge at the opening of the Ascension portal in 2025, which is an orientation milestone for us to estimate when major changes are expected to occur. Until then, a soft disclosure is taking place with very interesting pictures of supposedly natural formations on Mars. Crustal Displacement. According to the Crustal Displacement theory, by studying the carcasses of the woolly mammoth and rhinoceros found in the northern regions of Siberia and Canada, one can see that the land these animals looked upon was suddenly thrust into a much colder climate. Their stomachs revealed food found in warm climates, where they grazed just before they died. This was suddenly frozen along with them. Thousands of animals were found frozen in a brief moment of geological time. Ancient maps of Antarctica suggest that it too was frozen in a brief moment in time. It has been suggested that about 12,000 years ago there was a displacement of the Earth's crust. The entire outer layer of the Earth moved approximately 2,000 miles. When the Earth's crust shifted, the whole of Antarctica was encapsulated by the polar zone. At the same time, North America broke free of the Arctic Circle and became temperate. This event would match the famous sinking of Atlantis recounted by Plato. This hypothesis is based on the theory of continental drift. The Earth's continents have slowly drifted apart over millions of years. This would be possible because the outer crust of the Earth floats on a semi-liquid layer. The crustal displacement theory states that the entire crust of the Earth can move in one piece like the loose skin of an orange. Tidal wave. Polar change would trigger a global tidal wave that would wash over the planetary surface and purify it. This wave is a necessary part of the primary anomaly purification process, and only people strongly connected to the inner light within islands of light could survive on the planet's surface, with the exception of the occasional prepper. The rest of the humankind would be evacuated from the surface, and then a new cycle could begin in full alignment with the light. The leading members of the dark side are aware of the coming polar shift and plan to survive in their bunkers and underground shafts. This Platonic cycle or great year ended in 2012, as told by the Mayans through their famous calendar. It only takes several decades until something changes, as the great year is approximately 2,772 years long, and nothing changes overnight with such long periods of time. What the dark side usually does at the end of such a cycle is to eradicate all civilizations of humankind and prepare the leaders for their next cycle. The ones they groom are usually the biggest sociopaths, who will then be used as a base for the humans in the next cycle and in the following new civilizations. This is how the Chimera invade planets, systems, and species, and destroy those among the species who still have soul and character, but let those who are closer to the dark side prevail in higher hierarchical positions. That, of course, is soulless, ego-driven behavior, and that is more or less their offspring in the target species. That is the reversal of life that happened through many of those earlier cycles. End of cycle. The funny things about this cycle can begin in 2012 is that it is a much bigger cycle that most of the clique understands. If in the Platonic year one clock strikes 12 for the Earth, then in 2012 almost all clocks strike 12 at the same time, and not just for the Earth, because this is a universal end of cycle. That is also the reason why all attempts to end civilization have been unsuccessful. Subsequent attempts became more visible and ended with a conflict, although a full-scale war will be denied. Since 2012, the elite communicates to its members and candidates among the humankind that this is a competition for the leadership positions for the future Earth, the next civilization. But the leadership positions will be determined solely by the forces of light, and must comply with the legal Codex of the Galactic Confederation, which, by the way, is already the official law established on Earth by now. However, any competition for leadership positions would be absurd, as this will be awarded according to the correct hierarchy in life itself, the size of the soul being a major factor in who will be in those leadership positions, and the feminine pole of the goddess is obviously in the highest position to liberate the Earth. Spaceships do not necessarily look like they do in the movies, and star visitors do not necessarily travel in metal ships. Many higher species travel in forms that are completely invisible to the humankind's eye. While this doesn't exclude metal spacecraft, the visitors are actually much more advanced than being limited to just that. Some of the now well-known cloud ships are definitely the result of external presence. On the other hand, such a spacecraft of advanced beings can also look like a fully functional flying plane or helicopter. They are quite quick in adopting things that are not invasive to the consciousness of humankind, and could also choose that form if necessary. An aircraft have flashing lights on their wings, one red and one green. The strange thing is when aircraft appear with both red and green lights. This would be a camouflage mistake of a spacecraft. Attacks. The dark side invests a great deal of energy to covertly harm their main rivals of the light. What they do is to summon parasitic entities and anomalous matter around their targets. There is a lot more technology involved than you might imagine. They replicate the exact environment of their enemies in special places in their underground networks. Then they put what they want to get close to in that room. It looks like a voodoo doll. They even suggest their victims with unfavorable nicknames like being sick, ugly, or malformed. Hearing voices through attacks is considered a mental illness. No humankind would think this works, and would prefer to declare a victim of this as insane. That is exactly what they want. Almost all humankinds have a soul energy field around them, and the starseeds have a much stronger field. That field would negate such physical invasions in proximity to their targets to some extent, but it is a real threat that some lightworkers and starseeds would face without divine protections and the forces of light. Most humankind have not yet understood that information is how worlds are one, and he who controls information wins. If a human being had an idea or discovered something that would end the artificial poverty, they would be manipulated to let that issue go. This happens first through mental manipulation, and they even give much better ideas supposedly. If that doesn't work, then they would see humans to attack them. In the end, they eliminate the most brilliant humans if they can't reach them, and divert their most brilliant work in the desired direction. If the wax contain too much truth, they will try to ignore it and hide it and even alienate as many people as they can. Longevity. A condition that we humankind perceive mainly through disease and the deterioration of age, it is as if we are slowly being digested by the matrix. Part of the contamination is that the primary anomaly is in our whole body, that works as a safer mechanism and reduces the innate capacity of the soul to heal the body itself. Human bodies are very resilient, but we still age and get only about 2% of what we normally experience as pleasure in a clean system. This issue also prevents the forces of light from physically visiting the planet until this time. What they need to enter safely physically is the final deciphering of the anomaly with respect to this ecosystem, which must be quick enough to cancel the effects instantly. That is what we call the compression of breakthrough. Those humankind who make it through the physical change intact will lead very happy lives. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.